Hello, I'm Alfred Bundy. We're here in Atlantic City at this special edition of Meet the Leaders. We're at the 103rd League of Municipality Convention, and our special guest is State Senator Declan O'Scanlan.
That's me.
Tell me a little bit about your district.
It's Monmouth County, the Bayshore area, primarily Monmouth County. It does run into Marlborough in the north and Aberdeen in the south. It's Rumson, Little Silver, Oceanport, and the whole Bayshore in between, Middletown. I don't leave anyone out, so I don't want to go through them all, but Keensburg, Keyport, Union Beach, I think I've covered almost all. Monmouth Beach, I usually go in order, but it's a great district.
Well, you're doing good. You're doing good. You remember all the towns. How long you been in the state senate now?
Since January.
Okay, so you're kind of new to this side of the aisle.
Of the building. I've always been on the same side of the
That's
aisle.
right. That's right. Of the building. Right. That's right. The building. Tell me what you're finding different on the Senate side.
Highlands and Atlantic Highlands.
Okay. We got those other. We got to get those other towns in.
There's a lot of similarities. There is a little bit more deference paid to senators. I think people seem to believe that they understand more what a senator does. You don't have to explain what an assemblyman is to people.
That's true. Now,
now, sometimes,
do they think you work in Washington?
Many of them do. So, as I say, people think they know more what a senator is. But it's great. I love serving in state government. If you gave me the option to go to Washington tomorrow, I'd probably turn it down. I really love the work here in Trenton. I love the people I work with, both sides of the aisle, actually. It's a really amazing experience. And even though I was elected originally in 2007 for the Assembly, I pinch myself every time I go into that building. It's a special place, and I think I've managed to make a difference. So,
what can we do better in New Jersey to get companies to come to New Jersey, to retain those companies so we can have some great jobs here?
The biggest thing we could do to solve all of our biggest problems is to get our fiscal house in order. It is hard to tell businesses that we have a stable tax situation when we're facing a probably $5 billion true structural deficit, depending on what you put in or out. That's probably the real number, fully phased in over the next 5 years. With that looming over us and us not having the guts to deal with the issue up front, it's really hard to tell businesses that the situation is stable, that our economic situation is stable, and that the tax situation is stable. That sends an awful message to them. There is a movement now, led by Senator Sweeney, a Democrat and a colleague that I very much enjoy working with, to do some of the major reforms we're going to have to do: pension and health benefits reforms, some more consolidation, shared services, that will help us get as far as we can easily get to a stable fiscal situation. Won't solve the problem. There's still more work to do after that. But we need to start with that. We need to communicate to the business community as well as taxpayers of New Jersey that we have the guts to deal with this and make some of the tough decisions. And this isn't a public worker versus non-public worker battle. This is for everyone. If we don't do these things, we will face insolvency. And that will be arguably even worse for public workers than it will be for non-public workers, with the layoffs, the slashing of benefits, dramatic slashing of benefits that would be necessitated. Were we to fail to deal with this now over this next few months of opportunity?
Now, we're just coming off the midterm elections. What's your thinking? That there seemed to be somewhat of a blue wave in places around the country, and even in New Jersey. A little different for your party, but what's your thinking?
One could argue, especially in New Jersey, there was such a wave. Not in my neck of the woods. In Monmouth County, we really performed very well. Blue wave or no. So that was nice to see that we're doing some things right and keeping our residents happy. But there's no question that there was a reaction to the volatile politics of the day nationally. And look, most of us saw it coming. Some of it is arguable. I get it. Some people are frustrated. But what we have to do is respond to the electorate now, hear them, and come right back up to the table, work hard, maybe change the tone somewhat, so we don't have that sort of artificial influence on people's decisions. It should be all about policy. Here in Trenton, we get along across the aisle and across the chambers. The Assembly and the Senate now work really, really well together. We're in a very good place.
We're glad to hear that.
And you know what? It contrasts to the mood in the country pretty dramatically. People don't talk about it all that often. We have our battles, but we genuinely like each other.
Okay.
And we've come to a point now where people on both sides of the aisle, something Republicans have been pushing for a long time, the reforms I cited earlier, certainly pension and health benefits reform, that people on the other side of the aisle really realize and genuinely are embracing these reforms as well. That's a big deal. In any other political time, that would be a front page headline. Right now it's not.
How do you feel about this question related to $15 minimum wage? Are you supportive of that?
I am not. Here's the problem. Raising the $15 an hour minimum wage has an impact on businesses. We've heard that debate already. We do have a number of businesses now voluntarily paying people minimum $15. I think that's great. Let the market prevail. The problem with imposing it is it's another barrier, another expense to the businesses you open this interview with some concern about. It's another expense that we're forcing on them. It's another micromanagement of how they run their businesses. It sends a terrible message. The other thing that not many people talk about is the impact of the increase in the minimum wage on the state budget, which I already mentioned to you as about a $5 billion at least structural deficit. If we get a recession, by the way, that could balloon to $7 or $8 billion, by the way. That's over the next 5 years. We would add, by my back of the envelope calculation, another $500 million if we do increase the minimum wage, because that goes right back onto state workers. And not just state workers, but providers for the mentally ill, for other health services that we pay. It's a big number. Unless you're going to add that extra $100 million additional spending every year, at least it could be higher than that. You have no business talking about a minimum wage increase that's mandated unless you've done that math and come up with how the hell we're going to pay for it.
One thing you'd like to work on with the new administration or the new government, it's not so new anymore, that you'd like to see in next year's budget? One thing.
Look, the reforms that I talked about. There is nothing else that any of us should be focused on. I like the governor. I like his people. I have some very good friends in the administration and really working well together. His commissioners have been some impressive people. I've enjoyed those relationships already. But we need the governor to get on board these reforms. And so far, he has abdicated that responsibility. I have told him that directly. I believe, certainly he's heard it from me, that is what those key things need to be in next year's budget, whether they're put there by the governor or whether they're enshrined there by the legislature. It's got to happen. So that's the biggest thing, and really it's the thing that we have to focus on, because everything else will be in danger over time if we don't do these things as the budget explodes, and it will, mark my words, over the next 5 years. If we get a recession even next year, we could have trouble paying our bills. That's a problem.
Don't have much time left. We're still concerned about having a green energy and a green economy, a good environment. Are we still concerned about that?
Well, I think that you have to be. No one has pronounced some of those concerns solved, so you have to be. You have to be reasonable about the impact on the economy of the steps that you take. But certainly, we all need being more efficient. I don't care how arch or conservative you are. It's a good idea not to waste stuff. So everyone should agree at that level. And then beyond that, look, there is warming happening. There's some debate over exactly what's causing it and how much impact a change in human behavior can have on the warming that's already going to happen. But we do need to be concerned about it. We do need to have those frank discussions. And on the flip side, look at cost benefits as well. That's a fair thing from the other side that the other side brings to the table. Together, though, it is a concern, and we need to focus on it.
Well, thank you. We're here in Atlantic City at the New Jersey League of Municipalities. My special guest is State Senator Declan O'Scanlan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.